e-society members. Do we want or not to want? We are members of e-society. And it has been extremely interesting to me to listen to the presentations today. My observation is that it is even easier to make policies and to analyze it. It's really a very, very complicated task. But my presentation will be not so difficult because it's e-voters compass of Estonia, and it is not a research project, it's an application to make Estonian people easier to understand our political landscape. So, but maybe first how to make change sense. Yeah. Next is down, yeah? Okay. I need to be here. Okay, but maybe I still need to remind you about Estonia, some facts. We are a very small country. Our neighbor is a big country, Russia, who has caused several troubles to us during our history. Our population is much less than the population of Kaohsiung, but still we are an independent country. We were occupied by the Soviet Union more than 50 years. We regained independence of the Republic of Estonia 20 years ago, and indeed I was a witness and direct stakeholder of this process. We are a parliamentary republic and also member of the European Union and the NATO from 2004. So, before coming here, of course I was interested to compare Estonia and Taiwan. And maybe this comparison also tells you why I was invited here. Because Taiwanese people, Professor Liu and Liao, were in Estonia during our last parliamentary elections, March last year, and I think they were encouraged what we are doing, and therefore I was invited here. In this slide you can see the recent comparison of different world countries according to their global information technology development. Sweden is the first in the world, and I have this green line. I put this green line here to show you that Taiwan and Estonia are not far away from the world leader. And I also put here a comparison of gross domestic product per capita for Taiwan and Estonia. And you can see that Taiwan is a much richer country than Estonia. And this fact may be important if we consider and analyze how countries make progress on ICT development. And Estonia is like a case to show that even countries which are not so rich can make good progress in the e-society development. Now about voters' compass. In order to understand the ideology and the method of Estonian voters' compass, please have a look on Estonian parliament. It's 101 members elected according to proportional representation with 5% threshold. So we have a multi-party system, and this system has changed considerably after we restored independence. During Soviet period, of course, we had only one political party, Communist Party. But first pre-elections, constitutional elections, 1992 brought several parties in the parliament. Actually, the number which is indicated here for first years of pre-elections is not number of political parties, but number of political entities. It means pre-electional coalitions were possible, and several parties used this option to bring their members in the parliament. But then we found out that this kind of parliamentary composition is very difficult for real democracy, and we amended our law, and after in 1999 only political parties could propose their candidates for the parliament. And you can see that there is a constant reduction of the number of political parties. For the last elections, we had 9 parties proposing their candidates, but only 4 of them succeeded to get seats in the parliament. So Estonia has a multi-party system, quite well-established political parties, and it gave us an opportunity to develop an application which is similar as for the EU Profiler project, which was developed for the European Parliament elections. And the initiator of this project, actually, personally, it was my idea, and I hoped that somebody else will realize it, but it happens that it was also necessary to implement this project, because there are so many partners, and having this expertise how to communicate with people and different parties, it was easier for me to do it. But the institution behind me is Electronic Governance Academy, which is a non-profit, non-governmental foundation to support the development of information society. Our aim was not to make a compass like a research instrument. The purpose was to offer voters an online tool to compare their preferences on political questions with the positions of political parties. So it was to facilitate people to understand what parties think about, and to give a motivation for people to think about policy issues Estonia was facing that time. So the methodology is the same as for EU Profiler. And therefore, unfortunately, I cannot give you the deep scientific research about our compass, because it was not intended to give this kind of data. We wanted to have this barrier of compass usage very low, so registration, we discussed the option that to make a registration obligatory, but decided not to do it because the main aim was to have as many compass users as possible. So to develop a voters' compass is quite a complicated task. The most important part of the compass is the development of policy statements, because compass uses certain policy options in order to make clear what people think and what parties think about policy issues. So then you need to develop party profiles. And it's also, it's not so easy, it's maybe called even a scientific work, because you need to analyze a lot of materials about party positions, their manifestos. And the method we used actually was that we hired some political scientists who made this desktop work, but at the same time we invited political parties to profile themselves. And it was they were quite friendly, they did it But if there was a mismatch between positions of scientists and parties, of course we negotiated about the issue, we tried to clarify the situation, but finally still the independent experts determined the party position. Because sometimes you felt that parties may take some populistic approaches, that their actual policy may be different. And software development, it was also part of the project, and it was done together with Estonian National Public Broadcasting, because the good thing for Estonian Compass is that we were able to cooperate with the most popular public broadcasting company in Estonia, which give us good coverage. And the fourth column here is a promotion, because if you really want that Compass is known and people will use it, you need a good system promoting this instrument. And we succeeded to make it. So development policy statement. As I said, it's a core of Compass, and it's not an easy task, and I don't know any scientific theory behind how to develop this and how to make it most effective compass to define the policy issues which are most important for society before elections. We invited several people to work with us, journalists, social scientists, people who know Estonian political issues, and it was quite a long and busy process to define the final 30 arguments we used for Compass. We started from selection of policy areas, then we formulated a lot of political statements for these different areas. And then we went also to the political parties, asked their views on different areas, tried to understand are there enough policy issues that we can differentiate between different political parties. So it's not necessary, there may be important issues for the country, but if parties are all of the same opinion, then Compass doesn't work. Therefore, we interviewed political parties. They fulfilled this questionnaire before, so finally we selected 30 policy statements used for the voters' compass. And an important issue was also connecting different policy statements with dimensions of political landscape. With political ideologies, also there is some uncertainty to what axis of political landscape certain arguments will belong. But finally we negotiated and we agreed, at least among these experts, what kind of political landscape what kind of axis for political landscape we will use. Okay, the Estonian compass is not very colorful, but all important information is here. The compass works in Estonian language and in Russian language, since we have a lot of people from Russian origin. So, time is running very quickly. Just to present you one argument which makes difference between left and right. We must first achieve new economic growth, only then the state can start to improve the welfare of citizens. It's an argument because of economic crisis, and it was used to make difference between left and right views. Then we asked about what is the probability to vote for parties we have in the list. Is it a zero probability that I will vote for a particular party, or is it highly probable that I will vote for the party? And this table was used only to present results. So we were very afraid that if a person gets advice for political party he never votes for, he will start to hate our compass. So it was this probability for voting for particular party was used like street lights. And first was displayed a party which green color. It means a person has a probability to vote for that party. And of course, there was an advice to switch out street lights. Then you get a best match of your views with the views of political parties. And here, maybe it's my profile here, and really I am Social Democrat, and her compass worked very well for me, at least. Okay, I know. Sorry for that Estonian political landscape. It was the demonstration of the position of a compass user in our Estonian political landscape. Okay, we got a lot of usage at the first days, and then it stabilized. Many people came directly to the compass page. And the interesting fact is that those people who approached the website via Facebook, they hurry up to tell the result to their friends. The average user website was 12 minutes, but they those who came from Facebook page, of course, they had less time to be there. Age distribution, you can see also young people dominate, but also elderly people use the compass. Okay, voting advice by parties, Greens were get the most advice to vote for Greens. Actually, they were left out of parliament because of some party leaders' issues. And since we asked also people's preference and probability to vote for a particular party, you can see that there is a mismatch of compass advice and what people themselves think about what parties they prefer. But it's not so difficult to understand that people have very many different factors to influence their voting choice. This is just one example to illustrate Estonians' views on different policy issues. There was an argument that there are no such gender equality problems between men and women in Estonia that require state interference. And 60% of those who use compass, and the number was quite enormous, are in favor of that argument. And only a minor part of Estonian citizens think that the state needs to interfere and to improve the gender balance in Estonia. Instead of conclusion. Indeed, since it was not a research project, our main aim was just to advise the people and to give people incentive to think about policy issues. And we followed very carefully discussions in Facebook, in Twitter, in different blogs, and the reactions were very positive. And here I just wrote one user of the compass, and I think it is very essential. There was a talk, Helen talk about crowdsourcing. Elections are like crowdsourcing of political power to people. And to have a good outcome from this crowdsourcing, information is needed. In order to be not a crowd, but to be with the people, we need to be able to make our informed choice during the elections. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate your sharing from your experience in Estonia. And I'll do the comment. Actually, I can do nothing about comment. I'll raise several questions for us to think about. And basically, this is the whole thing of electoral campus is a project to assist voters to make their choice in elections. And so the first question comes to my mind is that should we have one in Taiwan? And I think definitely we need one. And I'm happy to say that the VAA is one at the midway. Actually, the way you complete the VAA is a little bit different from electoral campus. Why we need one? Because theory of classic theory of democracy always say that real democracy near well-informed voters, and in the real world we know that most people are not interested in politics, and most of them just do not have enough information to make any regular choice. So we need to assist those people. And the second question I'm asking is that how can we do that? In Taiwan, I'm immediately think about the political landscape here, and everyone talk about Taiwanese politics will think about green and blue, and that is a dominant force for our consideration, actually a political consideration. And when I look at the VAA, the effort made by Dachi and Zheng San and their students, I think if no government action involved in this kind of effort, I think the impact is very limited. You must admit this, But if the government involved in this, then most people will think another way, If this is a Green Party, then most other people will think, well, this has been influenced by some other, by the governing party, incumbent party. If it's blue, people will think the other way. We at the Central Election Commission, for example, we think that we are neutral and we are independent, but every action we took usually are interpreted that you are under the instruction of President Ma. So I think this is very difficult for the government to build a project like this. This is really a dilemma. Even if we have this kind of project completed, and my third question is, what the impact or what the consequence? I would say that I'm not that optimistic that it would be very useful to help the people, because we will find that similar to what we find in Estonia, actually, those who use those assistance, the project is not a representative sample of the public, right? About less than 10% of the population are using this electoral campus, and they are younger, they are better educated. In other words, they are misrepresented. But in Estonia, I think it's okay because Estonia built a system using multiple channels of voting and also multiple channels of information providing. And I think this is one thing we probably can think about. Because they are younger, they are better educated. And if we can do some kind of citizen education, probably a similar project of electoral campus can be built here in Taiwan. And we hope that this can be achieved by Zhongshan Daxue. Okay, thank you. I believe that our time is up, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Do we need,
Yeah.
do we need that? Maybe we can continue our conversation. You need a dinner?
I think each paper giver should respond to the discussant opinions. Just a very brief.
Okay, 2 minutes, okay?
2 minutes for 4 papers, I think, altogether.
You are really mean.
The last session started around 4:40. Now it's almost 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, so just start from us.
Okay.
4 authors already here, or another author there. Okay, we'll be together with the roundtable speaker. Okay, thank you for Dr. Shulman's comments. I think it's very useful. I have to say, okay, I already got the remarks from him. I think make 3 main points. The first one, he thought about the theoretical foundation of some science. We agree with that, actually. So we may rewrite the paper from a very skeptical angle to present the story and say it's skeptical. Okay, the second one, the sample problem. I think we are not attempting to generalize the kind of the finding to the general public. We say that, or we say this limitation. We want to explore actually just netizen. It's an imaging population, netizen. So why we show the kind of difference between our sample and the random sample from Dr. Liu's kind of providing the information. The third one is Facebook. We really like to explore Facebook as a kind of fact. This factor is an important factor we'd like to explore more. Thank you. Very brief.
Thank you, Professor Liu.
Yeah, very quickly, because Eric provides a very useful suggestions. I will take on just one piece of thought that we can share. I think methodology of the web survey data collection is more important than the description itself. We have to invest most of energy to see how this web collected data can be used for the generalization. I think there's a big area for study hard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we want to thank Professor Luo. And I want to respond to 2 points. The first is methodology. In terms of discourse analysis, we are looking at patterns, regularities and patterns. This is why we look at different sites. And then in terms of the second question, how the internet users actually self-construct themselves. And we want to argue that the term Xiangmin villagers is actually a site of political struggle in the sense that the actual villagers, they construct themselves as Xiangmin in the sense that they want to transform the negative meaning of the word Xiangmin. Okay, and so in this sense, they construct themselves as active citizens participating in political events or in help in charity. Okay, but then on the other hand, there's the elite or the power bloc, which tries to downgrade the villagers into the mass. So basically, I think we're looking at the push and pull of this, the term, the politics of struggle of the term. Okay, that's my answer. Our answer.
Professor Xiao, do you have any response? Okay, thank you. Now, Liia, you have the final words of this panel.
So I think it's sure that people who use voters' compass are not representative of all population. But it doesn't mean that these people are not important. They can bring their new knowledge to the society, and to have at least 10% of people in society more educated, more understanding the situation, it helps all society to be more democratic. This is how we argue for our electors' compass, and I think our compass is here to stay, because for next elections, of course, we have new problems, and to make scientific research about the main political issues of your country. I think this is worth by itself. And also we have now a political landscape described in Estonia. We know that it is like a two-polar political landscape. We can develop, or we can follow how it develops if time goes. And it's also very important opportunity to understand the political history of your country. So thank you for inviting me here. I'm very glad for that.
Thank you. Let's conclude this panel. I think the next panel will begin immediately.
Maybe 5 minutes later.
Okay, thank you.
To the ladies' room audience.
Okay, let's thank the authors of the 4 presentations and the 4 discussions. Thank you for your patience.